All right, we starting. All right, we're recording. Hello, good people. Hello, good people. Thank you for coming to my channel, Becoming King Lex. And this is your girl, King Lex, coming to you live and in color. Well, not live, because this is a pre-record. Because I'm tired of my videos skipping. I'm tired of my internet trying me in front of company. We got a problem, and we're going to deal with it behind the scenes. But meanwhile, with this Diamond and Tiana story, having a video that's skipping and that's freezing and everything, that's not doing them justice. I feel like that is not respectful to these girls that we are still looking for to this day. It's been 2 decades and some change. I need this video to reach people. I need this video to touch people. I need this video to give an understanding to people on how to deal with situations like this. No matter what you're afraid of, no matter what you think gonna happen, at the end of the day, your child's life is important. Don't ever lie to the police when it comes to them trying to find your child. I don't believe in lying to the police at all. I don't believe in lying at all, period, right? I mind my neck and I stay in my lane, if you understand what I mean. But when it comes to a child missing or somebody being hurt where you need to call a first responder or something like that, DHS should not be the thing that you're worried about, because it can literally be life or death for your child. If your child swallows something and you may have got it out of their mouth, but they got a little bit in their system, don't be afraid to go to the hospital and tell the emergency room, hey, my child is sick. It's something going on. Because overnight, whatever that medication is, be it diabetes medication, a sugar medication, or something like that, that child could die. That child could have a seizure and die. Let me tell y'all a story. When my oldest son, RJ, he was just turning 1 year old, me and his dad was having problems. And when I say we was having problems, we were both teenagers, you know? We were both teenagers. We didn't know what we were doing. We had a lot of pain. We trauma bonded a lot because he had been through a lot and I had been through a lot. And we ran away from our situations and ran to each other. And we wanted to start a family and do it the right way. We wanted to start a family and have our family the way we always wanted a family, you know? But we was kids and we didn't realize that we got to have jobs and money for all of that. We was in a fantasy world. So when we had our child and reality hit us, oh man, so many things start happening. And we got into it so much to where I'll never forget, it was one day that I just left. My grandma stayed down the street, and I put my baby in a stroller and I walked to my grandma's house. And I told my auntie, I said, I'm done. I'm cooking right now, y'all. I'm cooking right now, so y'all gonna see me moving around and everything. But this is a local recording, so it should be a perfect stream when I get done with it. But um, yeah, I walked to my grandmother's house. I put my baby RJ in the stroller, and I walked to my grandmother's house, and I said, I'm done. I don't want to talk to him no more. It was probably either he was probably talking to another girl, or fighting, or whatever it was. Whatever it was, we wasn't even old enough to drink, but we was drinking. You know what I mean? So, and then y'all know what I told y'all about my past, about people. This was the era when, like I said, Future was coming out, Migos, and this was the era when people was, popping pills, taking Xans or Perks, or I don't know if I should say that word on here. YouTube, I'm sorry, I'm new, okay? I'm learning how to do this, but I'm trying to explain my story in detail. So, um, I walked to my aunt's house, and then he was calling saying he wanted to get his son. He wanted to see his son. Now, at first, I thought he was just calling and saying that because he wanted to see me because I had left, and that was something that I never do. One thing about me is I be loyal to a fault sometimes. Sometimes I be with a person and I should have been left them, but I be trying to find the good in them and try to stick it out and everything. But I tell you one thing: once I'm gone, I'm gone. That's the thing about me. People say that that's a Capricorn thing. I don't know, But I know that I'll hang on. I will hang on to the very last drop. But once I'm gone, I'm gone, and I can't turn around even if I wanted to. It's something about it. Just it's just never gonna be the same because you're not the same person to me that I thought you was. So I was getting to that point at this time where I was really done. You know, I was loyal to him for a long time, right? And I was getting to this point where I was really done. Mind you, I'm a teenager. I'm probably 17 or 18 in this moment. But I was living with him. We was living on our own. You know, my mom couldn't tell me nothing. My grandma couldn't tell me nothing. I was having anger and blaming them for a lot of stuff that happened in my past. You know what I'm saying? I was young and wild and angry. You know what I'm saying? Fighting all the time. I went to alternative school for fighting. When I first found out I was pregnant, I think I fought that night in the club. And I stopped doing that after that. I didn't continue to go do that. But what I'm saying is that that's just how lit everything was. Everything was wild. You know what I'm saying? And my homegirl, one of my best friends, she passed away. She's no longer here with us no more. Rest in peace, Nene. I love you to death. I miss you so much, girl. But what I'm saying is that in this, let me get back to the thing. We'll talk about that other stuff another time. But what I'm saying is that when he was calling me, telling me he wanted to get his son, and I let him get his son. My auntie was like, "Let him go with his daddy, whatever. Get you a break in, get you a break, you know." And so I let him go with his dad, and I was chilling, having a good time that night. And I went to sleep, and I woke up at 7 o'clock to a phone call saying, "You need to get to the hospital. RJ having a seizure." When I tell y'all, my heart dropped in my belly. My heart dropped in my stomach. And I'll never forget not really understanding. Like in that moment, I was like, what? It hit me more and more as I was driving to the hospital. I was at my friend's house. My friend dropped me off at my auntie house, which was like 5 doors down or something like that. It was close. And I got to my auntie house and she met me outside with the keys and gave me the keys. And I turned on my hazard lights and I flew down into that hospital. I turned my hazard lights on. I didn't stop at no red lights or nothing. I'm glad I didn't get in no car accident. I was driving so fast to get to my baby, man. I get to the hospital and I tell his daddy there, my grandma there, my mama there. I'm like, what's going on? They wouldn't let me in the back. I bust through the doors. I bust through them doors like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? That's my attitude. Like when something going on, I'm busting through. Like, what's up? What's going on? And it was my baby. This my baby we talking about. This is my firstborn son we talking about. My firstborn. I was like, what is wrong? What is going on? I asked his daddy, I said, what is going on? And he was like, he don't know. He couldn't tell me. He didn't know. He didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, he was just fine yesterday. He was fine. What happened? And they said his sugar keep dropping. Like they said it was either his sugar. I believe it was his sugar. All of this stuff was a blur at this time. I'm talking about they had to give me anxiety medication and everything because we had to get on a helicopter and fly to another hospital. But I'm gonna get to that. They kept on saying his sugar kept dropping low and it kept causing him to have a seizure. Because he was not only the story was when I got to the hospital, his dad and his grandma said that he was just jerking like this, like jerking. And he was just looking when he was jerking. He got up and he walked to his daddy bed and his dad told him to lay down. And he said he looked at him and he was just standing there jerking. So my baby having a seizure got up and walked to his daddy bed. That's what saved his life. Y'all, these facts, not fiction. These are facts, bro. And this is, oh, I can't believe I'm even talking about this because this was the most scary time of my life. Me picturing it because I wasn't there. I had let him go with his dad, you know, and I wasn't there. And he told me that he was holding him and he kept on jerking. And he took him in the room to his mama, and his mama told him to dial 911. He dialed 911, and they told him he was having a seizure. And he was having a seizure on the way to the hospital. Got to the hospital, he still was having seizures. And they said it was dropping lower and lower. They didn't understand. And then they got a phone call from his friend. who lived at the house with him, and they said that he had got into the medication of his grandma when he was over there at the house with the kids. It was about 4 kids there, and they say he got into his grandma medication. His grandma medication, and they got it out of his mouth, but it had started dissolving a little bit, so a little bit got into his system. And then when the hospital found that out, they was able to move accordingly. And they told us that we had to go to another hospital that was specialized for children, because the hospital in my city didn't have another bed for emergency like this. So they gave me anxiety medication and put me, my son, his daddy on a helicopter, and we literally flew to the next city with a bigger and better children's hospital. We was there for about a week with our son. And I'm saying that because if they would not have been afraid to say anything, then it would have never happened. I'm not beating nobody up or nothing. This happened. My son is 13 now, and he is wonderful, perfectly fine. Son, I love you if you ever see this. But that was the biggest scare of my life at that time. That was the biggest scare. That was the best thing of my life, was having him, and the biggest scare of my life was almost losing him. Y'all, and y'all keep a cliffhanger of that, because we're going to talk more about stuff like that. But y'all, when I tell y'all, like, man, all I ever wanted was the best for my baby. And man, that situation changed a lot in my life. I was glad that he was okay and that he was fine, but I moved totally different with him after that to ensure that nothing like that ever happened again. And I get anxiety now to this day still with my kids. I still get anxiety when Cash play a certain way or do something like play or something like that. I still get anxiety because I don't ever want nothing to happen to my kids. And my Cash had an accident where he bumped his head at a daycare before, and it scared the shit out of me. Excuse my language, scared the crap out of me. Sorry, YouTube. But what I'm saying is, man, when it comes to these kids, man, don't let no guilt, no shame, or no fear of what's going to happen stop you from telling the truth. Tell the truth, man. That could be life or death for these kids. Now, what I'm going to show y'all right now is a video on word for word what happened with Diamond Bradley and Tiana Bradley. Now, it sounds like this video was by a Caucasian man, but this is the only video where I was able to hear word for word what really happened without people trying to cover up for the mother and make her look less bad. Sometimes we just need the truth cut and dry. And I feel like because she was afraid of people taking her kids, because she was afraid of looking bad, she withheld a lot of information. So in order for them to get information from her, they had to go out their way to make her look good, I feel like, because she was holding it in. I can't imagine how that would feel. I'm not judging that lady. Rita, I know you don't play about your mama. Victoria, I know you don't play about your mama, but y'all just understand that this video is for awareness. This video is for us to go back in the past and look at our mistakes. This video is for us to get as many answers as we possibly can, because this has been a mystery for over 2 decades. So I issue a trigger warning right now for anybody that sees this video. I'm letting you know right now, you may possibly be triggered by some of the things you're going to hear. This is the only video that I heard that actually went word for word of what exactly happened, and I got to play it. I'm issuing a trigger warning now. Exit this video if you can't handle the truth. That's all I ask. Let's get it.
Welcome to True Crime Garage. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Nick, and with me, as always, is a man who was nearly swallowed alive by a Pac-Man machine. Here is the Captain.
It's good to be seen and good to see you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend.
This week in the garage, we are drinking Downtime Wheat from the good folks over at Bulldog Brewing Company.
Hold on, y'all. I gotta take the commercial down. I gotta take the commercials down, y'all. And shout out to this channel holder,
American Wheat
True
Beer.
Crime Garage.
Bulldog is a microbrewery, and you can always
Shout
find
out
some
to
very
y'all.
unique beers at the microbrew houses
Like this
across
video,
this great
subscribe
land.
to True
Downtime
Crime.
is light, smooth, and a little malty. 5% ABV, garage grade 4, and a quarter bottle caps out of 5. And here's some thanks and praise to some of our good friends for helping us fill up the fridge this week. First up, a shout out to Renee from Aquabog, Long Island.
And a big we like to jib to Teresa Ayala in Oakland, California.
That's right. If you want to get a nice jib from the captain, just go to truecrimegarage.com, click on the pint glass, and leave a little donation for the beer run.
Yeah, BWRUN, beer run. And Colonel, that is enough of the business.
All right, everybody, gather around, grab a chair, grab a beer. Let's talk some true crime.
Let's get it. Let's get it. I love their intro.
Recent analysis
I love
of
that
missing
intro.
children cases over the
Let's
course
get it.
of a 2-year period tells us that there is hope out there.
Yes.
3,147 children were recovered after being missing for 6 months or longer. 151 children were recovered after having been missing for a decade or longer.
Woo.
While
I remember
those
that.
numbers are delightfully surprising, please keep in mind that 98% of these cases involve children who either ran away from home or were abducted by a family member. But that still leaves 2%. 2% of the missing kids who were abducted by a non-family member who were recovered, returned to their home and to their families. That's over 60 kids who got to come home. Family abduction cases have the longest average time missing, with an average time of 326 days, versus cases of runaways, which average the shortest time missing at 61 days. And then there are the cases that we talk about here in the garage, cases that don't exactly fit either of those descriptions. Maybe a case like today's. There is help out there for parents and families of missing kids. And equally important, there is assistance and educational tools out there to help parents and families prevent this sort of thing.
Shout out to True
Organizations
Crime
that
Garage.
truly only exist due to the effort to keep our kids safe. One of the best organizations I know of is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC. Every child deserves a safe childhood. On the evening of July 6, 2001, a 911 call came in to the Chicago police. The caller was a woman, and she was calling to report that her 2 young daughters were missing. Chicago PD Cedric Bailey, Special Victims Unit detective, was working the night shift. Cedric caught the call and was sent to the mother's apartment. Bailey headed out to the 3500 block of South Cottage Grove on the south side of Chicago. Once there, he met with the female caller. The apartment was located in the Lake Grove Village complex. The mother of the 2 girls, Tracy Bradley, said that her daughters, ages 10 and 3, were missing for several hours. The last time she had seen them, according to her statement, the two were at home, safe in the apartment. When Tracy returned, she found the apartment empty. No girls, just a note. And this ignited one of the largest missing child cases in the Windy City's history. Two beautiful little girls, two loving sisters, Tianda and Diamond Bradley, are still missing. And this is True Crime Garage.
I had to dig for this video. It's the most informative video that I have found yet. We're going to watch Leah Gordon next.
This is from the Chicago Sun-Times article dated October 23, 2007. Cedric Bailey, Special Victims Unit detective, got a call from downtown on the night of July 6, 2001. That's a call that he will never forget. Two little girls were missing. But
I'm trying not to play the commercials. You know what? I need to upgrade where I don't get no commercials. I don't know if y'all can still hear it or not, but I had to dig and find this video. Here we go. We back. We back yet, y'all? No, we're not back yet. Not yet. My phone. I'm letting the commercials play, and I'm gonna put it back in. Y'all pay attention. This is the step-by-step of what happened to them. I'm waiting on them to come back.
Cedric had with the information that was coming to him that night. It was 9 p.m. on that Friday night when he got the call. At minimum, the call came into Chicago PD 2 hours prior, maybe more depending on which report you choose to believe. Even more disturbingly, the two girls were missing for several hours before the call was even placed. For Detective Bailey, right out of the gate, there was going to be a lot of horse shit to sift through. The detective was angry at all of the time that had passed. The search for the two missing girls was going to be a battle, the uphill kind. And he was not sure who was trying to help the search or who was trying to hide something. The girls were missing, and there was no doubt about that. Their mother, Tracy, had been looking for them for several hours and even enlisted the help of family, friends, and neighbors. The search was officially on, according to the police. A search of the apartment and the surrounding areas proved that this was a legit call. And there was solid reason for great concern. One of the biggest problems, Tianda, age 10, and her little sister Diamond, age 3, were last seen at approximately 6 a.m. that morning. They were reportedly left alone by their mother as she went off to work. Tracy Bradley's initial call to police came in at about 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., again, depending on which report you listen to. Some of this time could be accounted for because Tracy, along with some family and friends, were looking for the girls. And for some of that time, probably believed that they would find them. This in part due to a note left by the oldest girl, Tianda. The note said that the two sisters went to a nearby elementary school playground and then to a nearby store. However, no one could find them at either location.
Well, the detective knows as well as we know that no matter how small you are, no matter what age you're at, you don't just disappear into thin air.
Police, according to some, treated Tracy, the mother, almost like a suspect from the beginning. She was questioned 4 times in the first few days of this investigation for a total of 22 hours. So that night that she is there to answer the detectives' questions while they are searching for the girls on that Friday night, the detectives talk to Tracy Bradley for 2 hours that night. The initial story that Tracy told police, well, Captain, and we don't like to hear this, it changed several times.
Well, that's fishy.
Tracy
We
does
gotta
not
be
hide
honest
from this
about
fact.
this.
In fact, she admits this, that she changed her story, saying that she was worried that she would lose her kids if she told the truth right out the gate. And the truth was that she left them home alone while she went to work that day.
Well,
That's facts. Now, this is what I'm talking about, being afraid of something else and not wanting to tell all your information to the authorities. This was a time when you should have been completely honest with them, It was a mistake, and we can't go back in time, and we can't beat this lady up. We can't. But we're gonna tell the truth. And I pray to God that you and your family get through this and get y'all family back. I pray to God that y'all do. But we have to go back in time and we have to dissect everything, because your story can help others to not ever do that, y'all. Because at the end of the day, there's somebody trying to kidnap another Black girl right now. And I rebuke it, and I pray that it don't work and it don't go through. But in the event that anything happened and you got to go and something's wrong, you got to call them authorities no matter what, and trust in God that they won't take your children. But if you're not doing nothing wrong, it ain't nothing to worry about. We gotta dissect the truth.
Investigations to me are a double-edged sword, because we know statistically the younger the victim, the more likelihood that somebody in the family or somebody close to them. And we have to remind ourselves, when we have a young victim, we have a smaller circle. They have a smaller social circle than what me or the colonel would have. So it's not out of line to start questioning people close to them, especially their mother, but it's the mother's job, it's the parents' job to protect their child. And so when you're being questioned by law enforcement, you want to be honest. You want to be honest in a situation like this, because it's an emergency situation.
Exactly.
So what are some of the other stories that their mother was telling law enforcement?
Real quick, Captain, before we get into that, I should clear one thing up here, that this apartment where Tracy and her children lived together, there are supposed to be 5 people living in this apartment. So it's Tracy Bradley and her 4 daughters. She actually has 2 daughters that are older than Tianda and Diamond. Now, on that Thursday night, her 2 older daughters were staying at her mother's apartment, which is very nearby. But Tracy tells police, and this is her first story, that Tianda and Diamond, they were at her house on that Thursday night. They went to bed as usual on July 5th. The other 2 girls, again, staying at their grandma's house. She says that on that Friday, she slept until 11 a.m. And when she got up, Diamond and Tianda were gone. So she looked for them and then called the police. Again, part of the problem with that story is she's saying that she got up at 11 a.m. This phone call is made at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., according to different reports. So that's a lot of time to go by if she wakes up and they are gone.
Yeah, if I woke up in the morning and my children are not there, and especially young children, you're calling police right away.
Her revised story, Tracy admitted that she got up and left for work at 6 a.m. and Diamond and Tianda were asleep at this time. Tianda was enrolled in a summer school program at a nearby elementary school, but she was not going to be going to that program that day because she had to stay home to watch her little sister, the 3-year-old Diamond. Tracy says that she got home sometime between 11 and 11:30 a.m. and when she came home, the girls were gone. That leads us to story number 3. In her third story, she said essentially the following, and this is taken from an actual media interview.
It's the third story.
Quote, I was at home during the time when they would, and this, I'm going to struggle with this because these are her words. Quote, I was at home during the time when they was there. I had to be at work at 6:30 or 6:45. So I left the house about 6:30 to make it to work to 6:45 to meet the troop that I have to put.
All right, now with all that. No, I don't like the way that he
Yeah.
Oh, now remove. This video better be right. All right, I have to remove the commercials, y'all. Even though I'm not monetized yet, I want to be in the habit of doing things like that, of removing it, everything. I want to be in the habit of doing it correctly. But y'all, we gotta talk about this. She had 4 stories that she told the police. So how you can't get mad at the police is, being hard. You're not being honest. They're getting frustrated because they're trying to find these babies too, and they feeling like you as the mother should cooperate the most out of anybody. The mother should be the biggest help. If anything, I'm gonna be the biggest help. I'm gonna figure out whatever it is I could do to help you help me get my babies back. I could not imagine that feeling. So I'm not judging, but I'm simply making people aware so that this does not ever happen again.
My name
That's
is
all we've
Shalita
been
Wilson,
20 years.
CEO
And we
of
still
CW
need to
Hair
find
Care,
them
that I
babies.
had lost all of the hair around the perimeter of my hairline. I knew any means necessary.
All right.
And a dermatologist named Crystal Agu, who
I got a lot of
specializes in hair
commercials on
loss.
here, but I really
Nearly
like the channel
50%
called True
of
Crime
all Black
Garage.
women experience noticeable hair
And
loss.
I really hope that
And CW Hair Care is here to help
we
alleviate
get a
some
lot
of
of
those hair growth
understanding from
issues.
this. And I hope that they understand my plight and why I'm showing this.
Grow your hair back.
Because a lot of the other channels are not talking about the actions that the mother took. A lot of the other channels are not going deep into the fact of what was said, what happened. Man, this video is so informative. It's 2 parts, and we're gonna go through these 2 parts tonight. This is gonna be a course, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show the Leah Gordon video today. I may break it up in 2 parts as well. I don't want to dream, guys. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this video to my channel and get the word out about Diamond and Tianda, because we could have possibly found Diamond. And that is amazing. And I hope that it is true. I hope that we found her. I really do. I hope that we found her, y'all. I hope we found her. So we're going to go from the top. We're going to go from the rooter to the tutor. We're going to start off from here, telling us what happened, and then we're going to get into the stuff with Diamond. Because the last video that I did, I don't want to rush through it. I don't want to have a video skipping. I want this to be clear and concise, because my mission is to raise awareness. My mission is to change things and put education in the minds of us as young Black women, older Black women. The more knowledge, the better. And again, you can never get too much knowledge. I'm constantly learning every day. And not just knowledge in books. I'm talking about street smart, street sense, how to react when certain things happen, what's going on, being able to handle ourselves better, being able to protect ourselves better, being able to have the presence of mind that we need on a daily basis. We need that. I'm waiting on the commercial to come off, y'all. Hold on, it's almost over. They got a lot of commercials in their stuff, child. Hold on. I could skip this, child.
So my work schedule is from 7 a.m. to noon. So I get off at 12 o'clock, and I I'd say I made it home about 12 o'clock, 12:30, something like in between that time. So when I come in from work, I put my key in the door and I unlocked my door and I called for Tianda and Diamond. So I didn't get no response. So that was the story. That's story number 3 that she said to the media.
Story number 3.
To clear some things up here, Captain, Tracy Bradley works nearby.
Shout
In
out.
fact, she works at the large apartment complex
I was about
where
to say
her
shout out to
mother
Tracy,
lives.
but the aunt name is not Tracy.
And they run
Shout
like
out
a
to the
summer
auntie.
program because remember, it's summertime.
Oh,
The kids
the
are
summer
home from
program.
school. They run a summer program where they have workers come in that oversee some of these kids. It's kind of like a summer camp. One of her job duties is to get there a little early, 6:45, and she prepares lunches and such for the kids that attend this summer program. And she watches these children and stays till noon. So when you hear these times, right, she's saying a lot of times that are very close in proximity. You know, I left at 6:30 to be there at 6:45. I get off work at noon, so I got home at noon or 12:30. That's because her work is very close by. It's practically walking distance from where her apartment is.
Yeah, but even if you take all 3 of her stories, don't you find it odd that it's taken her
We on 3
hours to
stories.
contact law enforcement?
Yes, I do.
Hours.
Number one, but number two,
She worked less than
you
50
also
minutes away walking.
have to keep in mind, I'm sure some of those minutes were gobbled up by her and her family trying to locate her girls and probably thinking that they might even be able to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the 4th story, we get story number 4. She admitted that her boyfriend, George Washington, and this was not the founder of our country, was there at her home, her apartment that morning. He came over between 3 and 4:30 a.m., according to Tracy, and drove her to work after 6 a.m. This raises all kinds of questions.
Now, let's pay attention to what they're about to say about George Washington.
Right? We have a bunch of questions, and I'm sure that police have the same questions as we do. First off, why did she lie?
Why?
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings are now available on StreamYard. Have you ever done a recording where
My
your
bad,
guest just
y'all.
had terrible internet issues? They were blurry, they were freezing. You could almost hardly hear them. Well, with local recordings from StreamYard after the show, this means that no matter what you or your guest's internet,
This thing is loaded with
I in part believe, Captain, that we have a scenario where maybe she thought, my kids are missing. It's legit. I've not done anything wrong. It doesn't necessarily matter exactly to the story of how they went missing, where they may be, as to what I was up to prior to calling the police. It doesn't look favorable to her that she's telling different stories,
right.
but we're going to get into that here in just a second.
But for law enforcement to
Right.
do a proper investigation, they need to know the truth, because if she is going to work multiple times with leaving her children at home, that is a schedule, or that's a routine that other individuals would know in the family. So, or people that were close to them. So those individuals that know that schedule, know that pattern, become people of interest that law enforcement would want to talk to.
Exactly. And we have all kinds of questions here, Captain. One, why do we have 2 daughters staying at grandma's and not the other 2? The one girl, the oldest one, Tianda, 10 years old, is supposed to be going to a summer program or to a summer school class that day. So in that equation, you really only need a sitter for one child, the 3-year-old. But it sounds
Right.
like she made a decision to have the 10-year-old watch the 3-year-old, leave them both home alone. My head, if she's working the summer program at a nearby
These are
apartment
facts.
complex that her grandmother lives at,
Yes.
my head goes to, why not just bring the 2 kids with you, or
That's what I
let
was
Tiana
saying.
go to her class or her summer school program that day
And get
and
somebody
take
to
the
watch
little
Diamond.
3-year-old with you.
With you. Exactly.
I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time that a mother or a father got stuck with a tiny little kid and had to bring them with them to work on a single day. Let's introduce Sheila Bradley.
Here's Sheila Bradley.
She's our champion here, Captain. She's
Yes,
the missing
sir.
girl's great aunt. And she has been extremely vocal and a wonderful advocate for both of these girls since day one. Sheila went on Nancy Grace.
Remember that name, Sheila Bradley.
Lied to the police. Why did she lie to the police? And Sheila's answer, quote, well, first of all, Tracy was told by another family member who had some previous run-ins with DCFS. That's the Illinois Department of Child and Family Services. This family member tells Tracy that you should just look for the girls, because if you call the police, the Department of Child and Family Services, they are going to probably put you in jail and or take your kids totally. So that's the explanation that Sheila says that she got from her relative Tracy as to why she changed her stories. But not only had Tracy lied, but as the captain points out, and as we've already said, she waited more than 5 hours to call police about her missing daughters, possibly more than 6 hours if the reports that she called 911 are closer to 7 p.m., if those reports are true.
Right.
So Tracy was considered suspicious right from Jump Street. The police stated publicly that she was initially cooperative, but then had stopped being cooperative with their investigation.
Why would you stop being cooperative? You got to talk about that.
Summer. Patron soda, water, and lime.
I'm sorry about that, y'all. I'm trying to like bring it down whenever it has a ad or whatever. I know it doesn't matter right now, but it's gonna matter when I get monetized.
Reported that regardless of her inconsistent statements, that Tracy Bradley passed a polygraph exam.
Well, every time a polygraph test gets brought up, I feel like we're a broken record. Can't use them in court, but I do feel like it's a nice barometer for law enforcement.
Well, especially in this case where you're going, she's told us multiple stories. We have to figure out some way of, can we believe this woman or not? So let's bring in a air quotes expert to help us make an educated decision on that aspect of our investigation. Now, proof of her passing the polygraph comes from the Chicago Sun-Times. This is a July 12, 2001 article that says, quote, the mother, Tracy Bradley, has been interviewed at least 4 times and submitted to a polygraph test, which she passed, according to a police source. After that, Tracy obtained an attorney, and police contact with her was required to go through that attorney. So let's talk about that for a second here, Captain. What we have here is exactly what you said earlier. It's a double-edged sword for law enforcement.
Yep.
They need to know all of the details. They need to know who is responsible for the girls having gone missing. And you very quickly learn after talking to the mother that she's telling you multiple stories. So what is she hiding? Then let's take a look at across the table from that detective. Across the table, we have a mother who, if she is innocent, if she has no knowledge as to where her children are or where they've gone or who has taken them or why they are missing, then we have across the table from us a victim who is sitting there going, why are you spending so much time on me? You should be out looking for my kids. She was questioned for 22 hours total over the course of the first 4 days of this investigation. 2 hours that Friday night. And then on one occasion on the following day, 6 hours, then 8 hours on Sunday, and then another 6 hours on Monday. So 22 hours that the detective talked to her. Now, keep in
Wow.
mind,
Wow.
they are out actively looking for these girls on the streets, in the parks, and everywhere they can think of while they are
Wow.
talking to the mother. Now, we should also point out, too, Captain, that not only did Tracy pass the polygraph, but what about an alibi? Tracy was, underline that word, was verified to be at work on the morning in question. But let's keep in mind that that alibi only covers Tracy for that morning when she is working from 6:45 till noon. Her own words.
Right.
Yeah, because it's possible
What about
that
the night
the girls were
before?
still at home and she comes home and an accident happens, or she does something to the girls, and during
Man.
that noon to 6 p.m.
I'm about to
window,
make my grits.
she's responsible for them going missing.
Not just that, I think the problem that we need to truly be looking at, as well as the problem you just pointed out, let's open up the window a little bit here, Captain, because the way I see it, no one but Tracy and her so-called boyfriend George had seen the girls since 10 p.m. the night before on Thursday.
Woo!
Tracy has consistently maintained that she had nothing to do with her girl's disappearance. But her shifting stories and some other interesting behaviors
Here.
gave her a reputation as a non-cooperative parent. And people in the neighborhood who initially rallied around her started to turn
Do we have
the other
roughly
way.
a timeline of the night before that they went missing? Like you said, the mother and the boyfriend of the mother didn't see the children after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
That's got to be
So,
hard.
police learned that friends of Tracy's had come over to watch the Cubs game on Thursday night. So this is very interesting to our investigation. Now we have other people.
That's got to be hard, y'all. That's got to be hard for the neighborhood that was once rallying around you, turn against you. So this is when the story gets harder, for the mom, because I don't feel at all like, she purposely did this. I don't feel like she purposely did this. But I do feel like she maybe felt guilt for leaving them unattended so much, or I felt like maybe she felt a lot of guilt. I hope that she wasn't covering up for that man. I hope it's not a situation where she did have something to do with it. I just don't feel like she did. I just feel like it was just handled the wrong way, That's got to be hard for everybody to start turning on you now, and not only do you not have your girls, but now you don't have the support that you need as well. So if there was any type of substance abuse going on, it could not have made it do nothing but get worse at that point. Knowing that you're a mom, knowing that you got two girls in this world and you don't know where they at, what they doing, what happened. And then you got, man, so I know it's a lot of pressure on what's her name? Miss, oh my goodness. Because the aunt's name is not what I thought it was. I think the aunt's name is Sheila. Yeah, but this must be hard. This time had to be hard on the mom. That's all I want to say, y'all. Let's keep going.
With not really a dog in the fight other than to find the little girls and to hope that the little girls are found safe and sound, who are confirming to police and telling police the following. We went over to Tracy's home. We watched the Cubs game that Thursday night, and most of them are saying we left around 10 p.m. So that gives us that solid time of the girls are alive and well and everything's fine at 10 p.m. Thursday night. The friends were questioned and reported that they saw both Diamond and Tianda there at the apartment and reporting that both were fine and acting normal at that time. Now, to further back that up, the Cubs finished the 2001 season 88-74. Not terrible. And on that Thursday night, they beat the Mets 13-4. This according to backtobaseball.com, which is an amazing website, by the way. The game lasted 3 hours and 10 minutes. The game was played at Shea Stadium in New York City. So keep in mind the time change from New York to Chicago. That night, it was a 7:10 pitch, New York time. So the game was over at 9:20 Chicago time, which makes perfect sense that the friends would be ushering out of Tracy's apartment around the 10 o'clock hour.
Yep, that's it. That makes total sense. It makes total sense. All right. My bad, y'all. I just gotta skip this ad real quick, y'all, and we'll be back. All right, y'all, we back.
All right, we are back. Cheers, mates, to the windows, to the walls, to the people in the front, and to the people in the back. Cheers,
cheers to you, Captain. Cheers to all of our wonderful listeners out there. Cheers to the people that have contributed to the beer fund over the past couple of months and past couple of weeks. I do want to send a request to all of you wonderful beer fund donators. Please check your spam box. Nobody puts True Crime Garage in their spam box, but I think that's where we are ending up, Captain, because when you donate to the beer fund, you get a nice little email from the captain and the colonel requesting your name and city. And check that spam box. Let us know where you are so we can shout you out on a future show. Now, we're going to give a shout out in a minute to one of the captain's favorite people, one Miss Oprah Winfrey.
All right, now, y'all.
But before we get into that,
we dated a little bit in high school.
Well, you should have locked that up because I think that she's worth quite a good deal of coin, my friend.
My grandma used to say you could love a rich one as much as you can.
Not a good deal of coin.
This next part, Captain, let's call it phone records.
What do you know about
but
coin?
Put a nice bold question mark after the word record.
Not a
right?
good deal of coin.
Tracy told investigators that while she was at work on that Friday, the morning in question, that she called her own apartment 3 times in the early morning hours, but never got an answer. So she's calling home. She knows she left her girls alone at home. Nobody's picking up the phone. It's unknown whether police verified that these calls actually happened. But if they did verify that these calls happened, it makes it even all the more alarming that Tracy didn't go home to see what was going on or what was wrong with her girls, that they're not answering the phone. Now, according to a 2021 article in Oprah Daily, police pulled the phone records at Tracy's apartment, and they indicated, quote, that several calls from other numbers to Tracy's apartment went unanswered over the course of the morning, and there were 2 hangups, end quote. So Tracy Bradley has a cell phone. We know that they pulled the records based off of this Oprah Daily article. Nowhere does it state 100% that they verified the 3 calls coming from Tracy's cell phone to her own apartment. But we know they were looking into the phone calls. There was an incredibly huge and extensive search, a huge search effort for these 2 little girls was underway during the whole course of the early parts of this investigation. And in fact, at the very first, the Bradley girls were considered, quote, missing by the police. The police who felt with some evidence that they had walked off, that the girls had walked off and perhaps just gotten lost or distracted. This again from Oprah Daily, which of course is not usually one of our go-to sources, but reporter Lee Kunkel did a very informative and lengthy article in 2021, gangbusters work, as we say here in the garage. So we relied on that article quite a bit.
Well, this was a huge story out of Chicago. And where is my ex-girlfriend from? Chicago. And look, I tried to lock it down, but the problem was we were so there was too much passion that we had to separate it. So we had to separate so Oprah could go on to have a good career.
He talking
According
about
to Lee's article, the Chicago
trip.
police responded
I like them.
immediately. And again, according to Lee's
Chicago
article,
Garage.
he says
Subscribe to
this
them, y'all.
statistically is unusual for a case involving
Don't leave
missing
me
black
without
children.
promo.
The initial search for the girls involved 3 police cars, 2 supervisors, and 2 canine units, which combed the neighborhood, which included dumpsters, yards, vacant lots, businesses, and the lakefront that is there. On July 10th, this is with the girls now missing for 4 days, an FBI spokesman, this is Ross Rice, told the Chicago Tribune, quote, "We're still trying to find out what happened and we don't know." The family pushed back, arguing that the girls had been abducted. The FBI agent goes on to say, "I didn't want the community to overlook it like, oh, it's 2 kids who ran away." Sheila, the aunt, the great aunt, told USA Today, no, these kids were taken. Sheila has become, she went on to become the most present and vocal advocate for the 2 girls, keeping their case in the spotlight and successfully getting the Chicago PD and the FBI to reclassify the investigation just after a few days as missing/endangered. And unfortunately, that is still the status of this case to this day. By July 12th, it was officially termed a criminal missing persons investigation. Detective Ed Carroll, who worked the case for several years, said to the Chicago Tribune, state police, FBI, Chicago, they threw everything they had at it. They set up a hotline. They set up a command post. As far as I know, there were entire tactical teams and detectives detailed to this investigation, at least for the first month, if not longer.
But one of the things that we like to do, and one of the things I've learned from your expertise throughout these last 7 years, is trying to break down the timeline and make it shorter, make our window shorter. And so, but there's no signs of forced entry. There's no signs of breaking in.
Right.
Are we to assume that when the mother and the boyfriend wake up, that they just didn't check on the daughters, or do they just not remember checking on them?
Right.
No,
Because
according
how
to the
you
mom,
not
she
see the-
spoke with both of the girls, especially the 10-year-old, before leaving for work that day.
So then that would put our window at about 6:30 a.m.
Correct. If, again, though, we're sitting
Right.
here, yes, she passed the polygraph, but
Something ain't right.
it still remains difficult to believe her every word.
Or any word.
Right. And so all we have is the window remains wide open, and a big window at this point, because truly the last confirmed sighting by somebody other than George or other than their mother is roughly 10 p.m. the night before.
Hey, boo.
What's up? How you doing?
Try to mute up for me right now. I'm doing good,
Hold
boo.
on.
Mute up for me because the thing playing. Oh, matter of fact, wait. Hold on a second.
It's
I'm trying
dangerous.
to remove it. All right. I removed it. Can you hear it still?
To make split
Yeah.
second.
Ivan? Can you still hear it?
No, I can't hear the
Because
broadcast.
I removed it from the stream because it's a commercial on.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Because
good.
I can't hear.
It doesn't look good right now from where I'm looking, but I know it's going to come through. They said it's going to come through perfectly. So,
Okay.
yeah, we halfway through it, Raven. So I'm glad you came up. It looks like it's about to come back on, and we're gonna talk really the most accurate video that I've seen yet. You know, it's the most accurate video. They talk about everything detail for detail. The fact that the mom had 4 stories that she had told the police. The fact that they said they didn't see the daughter since 10 o'clock the night before, but you said you kissed them goodbye the next morning. So it was just so much, you know, that was getting bypassed and that was getting kerfuffled because the mother had so many different stories. So they started treating her like a suspect, but then she passed the polygraph test. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, what do we do now? Like, it really, I want to raise awareness to women because the mother said that she didn't tell the police the truth immediately because she was afraid that they were going to take the children. You know, and I
Right.
understand that somebody told her that, and I understand that, but when it comes to an emergency situation, you got to say, you know what, I'll fight if I have to, but somebody needs to come save my child, either save their life or help me find them. And I'm gonna tell you when
Exactly.
the video stops, I'm gonna tell you the story that I told in the beginning about when RJ had a seizure. He was at his dad's house and he got into his mom's medicine because all the kids was just in the house playing. And they got the
Uh-huh.
medicine out of his mouth, but it had dissolved a little bit. And they was afraid
Mhm.
to speak about it because they didn't want, they was afraid to talk about it. And my baby started having a seizure that next morning. That was the first time that I let him go with his dad in a minute by himself. And he started having a seizure the next morning, girl. I had to rush to the hospital, asking his dad what happened. He didn't want to tell me. It's playing. It's playing. Hold on. Back.
Okay.
George and
Okay.
Tracy time after the Cubs game that night. And here's another thing that always aggravates us, right? Surveillance cameras at the apartment complex, they're not working. They're not working. Again, it's the false sense of security that you give to your residents.
Can you hear it?
You have security cameras.
Yeah, I
You
can
just
hear it.
choose to not use them.
Okay.
But this is another reason why you might want to look into the parents, because they would have known that the cameras of the apartment complex, or possibly would have known that the cameras at the apartment complex didn't work.
It's aggravating as hell.
Yep.
There's a chance that we could have saved 2 little girls' lives, or at least know where they are, bring them home, had you just bothered to make sure that your security cameras, your surveillance cameras at your apartment complex were working. And guess what they don't do at the apartment complex, Captain? They don't do it anywhere. When the cameras stop working, they leave them up. False sense of security. They don't go around to every resident and say, oh, by the way, those cameras stopped working. Or we ain't changing the tapes no more. We ain't paying for digital recording no more. They don't tell anybody that.
Right.
They leave you with feeling a false sense of security. Investigators canvassed the playground.
Mhm.
So we mentioned this at the top of the show. There was a note that was left. When Tracy Bradley comes home and does not find her girls, she finds a note. And this note is saying that the note's written from Tiana saying, me and Diamond, we are going to a playground and then we're going to go to the store.
Now let's get into this note.
And they never come home. They never return. And of course, Tracy and her family and friends checked the playground, the nearest playground, or the playground they believe that Tiana was talking about, and the store that they believe that she was talking about. We get some conflicting reports when police start going around and canvassing the neighborhood and talking to people. They couldn't, from my understanding, find anybody at the store that had ever said that they had seen the girls. They did find 1 or 2 people, most of them children, that said that they saw the girls at the playground. But as we all know, kids can be easily confused, especially when you start asking about dates and about times. I can't sit here and say, Captain, that the kids that were interviewed at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. that Friday night. They likely couldn't track down these kids who were at this playground, this local playground that is shared by everybody in the community. They wouldn't know who to ask that night. So these children that are saying, yeah, we saw the girls at the playground, this could be the following day, 2 days later, 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
I'm sure they saw the girls at the playground at one time. I just can't say that they were actually seen on the day in question. And we know that in fact, the neighbor of the Bradleys, this is Fred Ramsey, told the press that Tiana knocked on his door around 10 a.m. asking if his daughter could come out and play. And he told her it was too early. Another neighbor, Sheila Adams, no relation, different Sheila, said that she saw both girls playing with other children in the complex between 2:30 and 3 o'clock on that Friday. The girls had asked her.
Hold up, sis. Can you hear me, sis? Because now I didn't know that they are saying that the girls were walking around. Can you hear me, sis? I don't know if you can hear me or not, but y'all,
I was
listened to
on
this a
mute.
little
I'm
bit before I
sorry.
played it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
No,
was
that's
on mute.
cool. But did you hear him saying that? It's cool, sis. It is cool. That's perfect. But did you hear him saying that the neighbors were saying that the girls were walking around knocking on doors asking if somebody could come out and play, and that they said it was too early, and so they
Yeah, I
were
heard that.
outside the house then. So that means they weren't
Exactly.
inside the house. That means somebody could have seen them and preyed on them because they were visibly alone. That's crazy. But let's keep going. You can mute back up, sis. I just wanted to stop and dissect that for a minute. And we about to dissect this note too. There's some things about this note that I heard that I want you to see.
Okay.
If she had any candy or none of these sightings, including the two neighbors that we just discussed, have ever been confirmed. So there is not 100% verified sightings of the girls since 10 p.m. on Thursday night.
That's crazy. I'm gonna remove it for a second. I cannot wait to buy a new computer. All right, is it off? Yeah. Okay. All right, I skipped it, so we're going back. We back on. Oh.
Her daughter, she left for work. If we buy, maybe even the neighbor, hey, one of the girls came by to see if now
All right, it should be added. Raven, can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear the stream?
No, I don't hear the stream.
Okay, I gotta add it.
According to reports, over 500 officers searched
Now
a
I can
massive
hear you.
area and interviewed more than 1,000 people. This including 30 relatives of the two girls. 100 detectives worked the case around the clock. 20 agents from the FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force joined in the investigation, and the FBI handled all of the evidence. So FBI is in charge of all the physical evidence. But one thing that's missing from these reports, speaking of evidence, one thing that I have not seen, not heard anything about is whether Tracy's apartment was searched for any signs of blood or whether anything other than the little girls
struggle or
were missing from the
anything.
apartment.
well, like I was saying
Exactly.
before, if she came home and there was some kind of accident that maybe she's responsible for, or the younger girl's responsible for, or the boyfriend is responsible for, does it become a cover-up situation?
They could have
Ooh,
detected that
I didn't
if
think about that.
they had searched the apartment from top to bottom. 824 tips, Captain, came in the
They should've
first
researched
week,
it.
in the first few weeks of this investigation. And according to reports, every one of those 824 tips were followed up on. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children published and circulated flyers for each of the girls. The girls were featured on America's Most Wanted on Saturday, July 14th, 2001. So They go missing on the 6th. Their story, their images, their faces are on America's Most Wanted on July 14th.
Okay. That's fast.
8 days later. And what we learn is fewer than 1 dozen tips actually come in after the airing of that episode. So where they were hoping for this to lead to something good in the investigation, it didn't pan out.
Well, it's so frustrating too because you can see where the lies to law enforcement from the mother initially make the case way more complex.
Right.
Because, like you said, if you can believe what the mother says, then you're shortening that time period and you're shortening your suspects and where to look.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reward that's still available in this case.
Yeah, very quickly, Captain, we have $17,500 that was put up as reward money for information in the case. And that money came from $10,000 from the FBI, $5,000 from the Chicago public school system, and $2,500 from the apartment building management company itself.
What?
Now we have the FBI very quickly in this investigation going on record. This is late July saying our speculation is that someone out there knows something, but perhaps they have not come forward because they're afraid that their information will not be confidential. What we're saying is the information will be confidential. We will offer money for it. 2 little girls who have gone missing in this way didn't just walk down the street and disappear. Someone saw something, and the FBI believes that someone will know where they are located. This statement could not be more truthful, could not be more honest, because the way I see it, if the girls were left alone that day while Tracy Bradley went off to work, then very likely what we had happen, if the girls left the apartment on their own, somebody should have seen them. If they left with an abductor or were carried out of the apartment with an abductor or abductors, somebody should have seen them.
Right.
Hell, if you would have had surveillance cameras, well, oh, wait, you did, but they weren't working. You would have had some footage of what actually happened that day.
Yeah, so initially, law enforcement is thinking, these girls ran away or they went outside to play, but we're probably going to find them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start talking and you start asking questions to the mother and she's being untruthful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's probably commercial coming on.
Oh, nee, nee.
All right, we almost done with part 1. We're gonna discuss it a little bit. Then we're gonna do part 2 tomorrow. Because I think that we already over an hour and something. Yeah, we're an hour 13 minutes in, so we're gonna discuss part 1, and then we're going to oh man, my girl. You back, baby. You back. I got you back on here. Just in case you didn't know. I didn't know you wasn't on here. But after they finish part 1, we're gonna discuss it. Tonight, I'm gonna eat my fish and grits that I've been cooking since we started doing this stream. And we're gonna discuss it and we're gonna come back tomorrow.
This just starts sparking red flags all over the place.
Right.
There's a lot of red flags here. Interesting, though, that the Chicago police, 20 days after the girls go missing, they labeled the case a kidnapping. They do say publicly that they found nothing specifically pointing to foul play. But as far as their investigation went, and along with the search and the searches for the girls turning up nothing, it's looking more and more to detectives and investigators like the girls were taken away by someone possibly that they trusted, that the 2 girls trusted. And so at this point in your investigation, if you are labeling it a kidnapping, you are hoping that the two are alive somewhere and in the care of someone who took them. Again, someone that they knew.
And if I'm law enforcement, I am harping on the idea of, was this a normal action? Was this a normal part of your routine? Did you leave your daughter's home alone before? Was there a schedule where you left them home? And if so, who knew about this?
Right.
Because there's no sign of breaking and entering.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know the girls and you know this schedule and you know that they're going to be alone and you're a horrible pile of shit, you might use this as an opportunity to do something horrible.
Well, think about the phone records that we discussed, Captain. According to police, what they're saying about the phone records was that there were several hang-up calls that were reported on that record. And think about that for a minute. If you live in the apartment complex and you see mom going off to work, well, then you go, all right, well, there could be 4 girls in that apartment. There could be 3, there could be 2, there could be 1 or 0. How about I call that number? I know them. Let's see if somebody picks up. And if they do, who picks up the phone? And if it ain't mom or an adult, I'm going to make my move. Because here's my window of opportunity. You're exactly right. If somebody was watching them, when we say somebody that they trusted, it doesn't have to be a family member. Right. It doesn't have to be a family friend. It could be a neighbor or somebody that lives there that they know, that they've talked to before.
Yeah, or
the older sister's not
somebody
there.
that they might know posing as somebody that they would be comfortable opening up the door for.
Before we continue to flesh out this timeline a little bit more, we should make clear that the Department of Child and Family Services had never been called to Tracy's apartment before. No. We don't know what was going on inside of that apartment. We don't know the relationship or how the girls were treated. All we know at this point is they were missing, and there's not been any speculation of any kind of abuse leading up to this point. There's been zero reports of that leading up to the girls going missing. Now, we do know that Tracy said that her air quotes boyfriend, George, picked her up from work on Friday and took her to get a cake. This at a Jewel Osco store. And investigators located a receipt from the store, which was time-stamped 12:21 p.m. Okay. Tracy had said earlier that she tried to call Tianda at the apartment several times and got no answer. So it does seem a little weird to call home after leaving your girls home alone, getting no answer, and then deciding that, you know what, rather than going directly home, rather than leaving work and going home sometime during my work day, let's stop off at the pastry shop real quick at the Jewel Osco and go pastry shopping before coming home to find the apartment empty. And she does say that when she arrived at the apartment, George was with her. So George goes into the apartment with her. She says that immediately she started searching for the girls. When asked why she didn't call police immediately, she said that she assumed that they were playing some.
I hope this don't mess up the stream, but I just had to pause it because we're going to hear that the girl called her mom and said George is at the door, and something about they was going to pick up a cake for the birthday. So pastry shopping, that's cakes, right? Am I tripping?
No, that's cake, donuts.
She went pastry shopping. Isn't that where they sell cakes and donuts and pies?
Yeah.
Right. So the girl said we're going to go pick up birthday cake. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna let y'all hear. We're gonna go further into this. I'm probably gonna show it tomorrow, but let's put a pin in that they got a receipt at 12:21 from going pastry shopping, and the girls were saying that George was at the door to go get the cake. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's weird. The mama and George know what happened to these kids.
That's weird. You know what I'm saying, sis?
Yeah.
Yes. And shout out to the Sheila, the great aunt, because if it wasn't for Sheila, this story probably wouldn't even still be alive. Because they wanted to go private, but Sheila was fighting. Man, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Let me play this video. We're gonna get to that.
Where in the complex. Remember, we do have that note saying that they might be playing somewhere in the complex. She and her sisters, Tracy and her sisters, and other family members searched all over. This including the
My name is Shalita Wilson, CEO of CW Hair Care, and I had lost all of the hair around the perimeter of my hairline. I knew that I needed to grow my hair back by any means necessary.
According to Cleveland Clinic and a
All right, we almost at the end. All right, back. Come on now, y'all should still have a commercial. I might have it on pause. Yeah, it's on pause. But yeah, we're gonna keep that pastry shop thing in the back of our minds because that's weird.
Ida B. Wells complex where the girls had
Ida
friends.
B.
This is a
Wells.
nearby complex.
I know about that place.
They also searched the shores of Lake Michigan, which was just blocks away. They searched there because the girls like to go there and play, sometimes in the water. Police found footage of a pair of girls who actually looked like Tracy's daughters at the Jewel Osco store located at 35th and King Drive. The police said there's a resemblance. It's close enough to pique the interest of investigators. Again, though, we don't have anybody saying that they saw the actual girls there at that store that day.
Well, like you said, this case is getting attention. And when
FBG,
you're
Duck
getting
Mama
attention, but
said
there's
she used to
not
live in
much
Ida B. Wells. That's where I know
information coming back to you, there has to be a level of frustration that's rising for law enforcement. And if I was a detective in this case, now I'm not so worried about looking outward. I'm looking at looking inward at family and friends that are connected to these two victims.
Well, and it's been said that the investigation was complicated by the fact that each of Tracy's 4 daughters have different fathers. It's believed that Tracy at the time may have had multiple boyfriends herself. We know of George Washington, who is referred to as her boyfriend, per Tracy's words. There is a man named Daniel Torres, who is a security guard or was a security guard at the time that the girls went missing. He professed to be Tianda's real father, this in an interview, but also said that he and Tracy had not been in contact and he had not seen Tianda for 7 years leading up to the girls' disappearance. Goodness. She's 10 at the time that she goes missing. He told the Tribune, he's being honest. He says, quote, "I ain't been around. People look at me as a lowlife, but I love my daughter." He goes on to say, "Her name is tattooed on my right arm. Congratulations, sir. You got a tattoo of your daughter's name instead of spending time with her or supporting her."
Yeah, or maybe take that money that you're going to spend on the tattoo and support your daughter.
Yeah, put it in an envelope, drop it off at mom's house. That'd be a step in the right direction. According to the Tribune, Tracy Bradley had filed 2 paternity suits against 2 different men trying to establish who the father of Diamond was, the youngest girl. This is according to court records. The first lawsuit was dismissed after DNA testing ruled one of the men out. The second lawsuit was filed in June against the man whose home was searched on. The second lawsuit was filed in June. So the month or weeks or days before the girls go missing, and was filed against a man who you've heard his name before, Captain George Washington.
Come on now.
His job at the time, he's listed as a welder.
George Washington.
He's the man, the boyfriend, if you want to call him that, who drove Tracy to work that morning and picked her up. This on the day that the girls vanished.
But one thing I've learned about you, my friend, is any case that involves a note, your ears perk up.
That's exactly right. And that's one thing that we've not really dissected yet. It's the note. Because remember that mom, Tracy Bradley, says that when she came home from work that day, that she found a note that was to her from her girls explaining why they were not in the apartment and where they would be. And here's the deal, Captain. If this note is legit, then that proves, that could be proof that when Tracy Bradley left that morning for work, that her girls were, in fact, alive and well after she left the apartment that day. And we know that Tracy Bradley was at work that day. That was verified by law enforcement with multiple other people and sources.
Okay.
Tracy Bradley comes home. She doesn't find her girls. She simply finds a note that says that Tianda and Diamond were leaving the apartment to go to a nearby school playground and to go to the Jewel Osco store. But does the note actually exist? And if so, who actually wrote that note?
Right.
Want to thank everybody for joining us here in the garage. So much more to get to.
All right, sis. Now, that's the end of part 1, right? And that's the end of part 1, sis. Now, part 2 is going to be dissecting that note. We're going to be dissecting that note, you guys. I hope that this stream is a lot better than the original one that I did on it. I privated the video. I was going to delete it, but just in case there was something significant in that video that I may need in the future, I just privated it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this video made you think. I hope this video taught you something. I hope that you, whatever you learned from this video, that you can spread it to a friend or a family member so that this does not happen again. Guilt and shame are the things in this world that I feel like hold us back so much. Guilt and shame. That's why I decided to let go of my shame. When I went through what I went through, you know, sis, you here with me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, sis?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, when I went through what I went through, you know, back when I decided that I did not want to be physically dependent on pain medicine, I went through that for a few years, and it was rough. It was hard. And when I wanted to do YouTube, when I decided I wanted to do it after I had changed my life and everything, you know, it was shame that I had to worry about what it did to me. You know what I mean? What addiction did to me, because it did start taking away from me, taking away from my beauty, affecting my teeth, everything, you know. And I decided that I'm not going to let guilt and shame stop me from doing things that I really want to do in my life. I'm not going to let guilt and shame stop me from saving my child, saving another child, saving myself, you know. So this stream and this series that I'm doing is not going to be to bash the mother at all, but we do have to let the truth out. It's been 2 decades and we have no idea what happened with these girls, and we have somebody that could possibly be Diamond, which I feel in my heart that I know she's a missing person, but I do feel in my heart that she could possibly be Diamond. And I could imagine just how that feels, you know. I can imagine the things that she probably think about, you know, because when you're 3 years old and something like that happens, you don't know what's going on in that moment. She probably had detachment issues. She probably had all type of issues, and they probably tried to like beat her into submission. You know what I mean? And move her around so that she would be confused, because 3-year-olds are not as cognizant as a 10-year-old, which is why I'm afraid that, you know, Tianda might not be with us anymore, because Tianda's, from what they described, I do believe that somebody coached her on that note, you know, and I'm gonna just leave it like that. We're gonna talk about that note tomorrow. Sis, I appreciate you coming on here supporting me. You got anything you want to say?
No, you summed it all up.
You heard me, sis?
You can't hear me? I said I don't have anything to say. I think you summed it
You
all
good,
up.
boo? I can hear
Can
you
you hear
now.
me? Oh, I said I don't have
Yep.
anything to
Thank
say.
you. I can hear you, boo. I really, yeah. And you said you think I summed it on up.
Yeah, I think we got a little delay.
Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. And don't worry because yep, we do. But I'm going to see how this local recording thing works because it's supposed to be a perfect stream because we're not streaming live. So they're supposed to fix all of this stuff. So let's see how this works. I hope that this comes out better than a live stream because doing a story like this, I feel like I want to make sure that it's clear and concise because this is somebody's life we're talking about. This is two girls' life. This is a family that we're talking about, and I want to put my all into it. So I hope that this is
Yes.
better. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to my sisters, Raven, and you, Straya. I love you, girl. We're gonna do this as a premiere so that we can still be in the comments. So I'm gonna check it out and see
Okay.
how it goes. But have a good night,
Okay.
sis. Appreciate you
All right.
coming
Thank
up.
you for having me.
All right, sis. Later.
Mhm.
No problem. Anytime. Later. All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna see how this goes. Thank you for coming to the live. If you see this video and you like this video, do me a favor and send this video to a few people. Send it to at least 5 or 10 people that you know that you think will like it. Like, share, comment, sub. Please subscribe. Hit that bell. I'm at, I believe, 280 right now, and I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the people who did subscribe. I appreciate the people who are giving me a chance. That means everything to me. I know that first impressions mean so much, but I thank you. I thank you, the people who still come over. I saw the comments that people are giving me a chance. People may not have understood my actions in the beginning, but I think as you get to know me more, you'll see and understand. I do the same with me. Hey, I'm gonna be consistent and I'm gonna keep going because I feel like in my heart it's something that I wanted to do for a long time and I'm finally doing it. So thank you guys so much. Thank y'all so much. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be in the comments because I'm going to do this as a premiere. Hopefully the stream comes out way better.